Sometimes making guide-related content is a little frustrating. You try to take an analytic approach and summarize your experience into the span of 5 to 8 minutes in hopes of people finding value in the advice you give them based on your own gameplay experience. But eventually you come to realize that most people are not looking for advice. They are not looking to genuinely improve, which in turn would increase their rating in a very healthy way. Nope, all they want are magical tricks and exploits that give them a higher rating than they deserve. And this kind of approach to a ranked ladder is very unhealthy. Getting to a high rating on the back of something that is not sustainable is useless, because once you can't do said thing anymore, you will drop again. So how did that help you? You become one of those booster players that you keep complaining about, and the ladder as a whole becomes an environment in which it is no longer fun to play in. And that's kinda what I want to talk about today. 3 pieces of advice, concepts or otherwise, that I would argue are absolutely terrible and nobody should listen to them. Now without further ado, let's get right into it. Number 1, learn a carry hero to rank up more easily. This idea of having to carry a match is something we've been discussing for as long as Overwatch has been around. Some deviation of this concept has made it on the channel of pretty much every single relevant Overwatch YouTuber. However, Overwatch is unlike other games where carrying is very well feasible, and we talked about that quite frequently. The bigger problem is that it's not only victory or loss that is dependent on the entirety of your team. There are other team-based shooters out there that also make it very difficult to carry an entire team as a single player. The problem in Overwatch is that it's not only about whether you win or lose, but also whether or not you have a good gameplay experience is dependent on the random factor of 5 other dudes that the matchmaker throws at you. What makes Overwatch particularly frustrating as a solo player is that matches where you feel like you've given your very best still felt like it wasn't anywhere near enough to win at times. It is this frustration that often leads players to want to do more, do things that make it so their participation matters more. And I'm sad to disappoint, but that is quite frankly not possible in this game. Now, it is obviously possible for you to find some sort of hidden talent, learning that you are naturally doing really well on a particular hero, so well in fact that ranking up becomes very easy for a while. However, if we're talking about a basic scenario of playing at your current skill rating, if everyone's roughly on the same level, then there is no way you can achieve victory all on your own. Just one player on your team being dead weight against a team where everyone plays decently will put you at a disadvantage that might be impossible to beat. Bottom line for learning carry heroes is that this attitude often disconnects players even further from the idea of working together with the rest of their team. They play differently, prioritize different things, are more likely to get angry, and by that diminish their chances of winning even further. Not to mention that frustrated players trying to learn carry heroes might just really not be good on heroes that fall under this perceived category. So they lock them because people said that's how you win, and they end up being far less helpful than on their original main heroes. Number 2, just watch a lot of pro players and you will get better. Now this one's kinda iffy to talk about, but people have been saying this about pro tournaments and streamers a lot. What makes this difficult to talk about is that it's hard to argue with the notion that pro players are, well, good at the fucking game. The problem is that we're talking about 2 entirely different environments. Our competitive ladder has nothing to do with pro tournaments. And if you watch a streamer who's multiple divisions higher than you, then trying to mimic them is not necessarily a good idea either. In pro tournaments, we're talking about optimal scenarios, coordinated teams of 6 that have been playing together for a long time. They are very experienced players that synergize well, and they play according to the threat in front of them, which is obviously another pro team. A GM or top 500 streamer plays with and against players that behave far differently than the average teammates you might get in, let's say, gold or platinum. As weird as that might sound, sometimes playing wrong is the right thing, and this is a weird concept to get behind, I know that, and I feel frustrated thinking about this myself very often as well. But on some point you gotta adjust to the way players behave in your current elo. If you're trying to mimic a push you have seen in a pro tournament with a bunch of diamonds, then you will quickly figure that it doesn't go anywhere near as smoothly as you have hoped. I've experienced this exact thing myself as well. For a while I've been playing in GM with top 500 players and the like, while also watching streams of other top 500 players. I was used to a playstyle that was different from what I'm experiencing on my old account in Masters, and that frustrated me a lot. If you are under the impression that you have a good idea of how your team should be playing, then try to become a shot caller. Learn from bad calls you make to do it better next time, but do not get hung up on mad strats you have seen on stream. Watching others play who are way better than us can give us some ideas, but that's all it should be, ideas. ideas. Little tips and tricks you can incorporate into our own playstyle to hopefully, eventually get as good as them. And lastly, number 3, it's all about trading kills. Now this is less of a piece of advice that I've seen people give others, but more of a uniform idea that players seem to agree to being correct, and I am here to once again say that I do not believe things to be that black and white. I don't want to take an extreme stance for either side here. Yes, getting an early pick out of spawn with a pulse bomb is a massive advantage, and that I do not want to deny, but your job as a DPS is not done after you traded kills. Players forget that we have roles in this game, and that role is not called kill one guy before falling over yourself. That role goes even beyond the classification of support, tank, and DPS. It is something I've talked about in detail in my video called Why Staying Alive is Important, among other things, but to try and summarize this, if you die too early, then that can have bigger ramifications than a numerical disadvantage. As a soldier, you dying first could mean that the enemy Pharah is suddenly untouchable for your team. As a McCree, you might have been the only line of defense keeping the enemy flankers from going ham on your supports. As Reinhardt, your shield being gone could open up the opportunity for the enemy Widow to get easy headshots. Your job is not done only because you traded kills. Your life matters. And going even beyond that, when talking about the typical how did we lose that fight when I killed 3 complaint, if you killed 3 on your own, then what makes you think that the enemies cannot do the same? It doesn't just matter how many people you kill, but also who you kill and when you kill them. Leaving the wrong players alive who have a powerful ultimate at their disposal could make all your work meaningless. So try not to focus solely on the number of kills that are being traded. Don't ignore it completely either, but try to just play the fucking game, man. The game goes beyond the simple idea of trading numbers, and the sooner you learn that, the better. But this is me done for the day as I talk about 3 things, I guess, that I would constitute as terrible advice that nobody should listen to. If you enjoyed the video, then do let me know by dropping me a like on your way out. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I hope to see you all next time. No! Why? I hate my life.
No, it's alright, that helped me.
You have like the worst transitions left. What the fuck?
Yo, don't yell at me.
Okay.
Fuck you, Mercy.
Oh, nice fucking shot. What the fuck?
Fuck you, Tracer.
Nice shot, son.
Can we,
Don't talk to me or my Transcendence ever again.
Go for this kid.